And then Nina would just be kind of the agreed upon, well, third best until we got Estrella, until we have Trigger, right? Which really came quite later. So I do think MaSa peaked better, higher, but not to an insane degree. And then when it comes to them facing each other right here, right now, I think MaSa is just so good at winning. That's why I almost favor him, but I know Nina has gotten back into practice. So she's definitely very strong when she's actually practicing StarCraft, which has been going on for at least a month, at least since the qualifiers. She's been hitting up that ladder.
All right, well, that's been kind of excited for the series. I feel like we could really have a good scrap between these two. Is in the bottom left from Storm, it is MaSa.
In the top right, was heading the right direction to see that proxy barracks. It is Nina. She's so close. Oh my god, no.
Yeah, very close. And you know, when you're playing against MaSa, proxy racks is absolutely a possibility. He is absolutely always known as like a very aggressive Terran player. Has, you know, never been afraid of proxying, right? So no surprises in that regard. That he's going to crank one out here, and as the probe does scout no barracks, you still don't quite know if it's just, you know, out on the low ground third location, or if it's truly out across the map somewhere. So that's the kind of fear of this. Of course, this is a true proper proxy, and MaSa will be looking to get something done with it fairly soon, as our first Reaper starts to make its way out and about.
Nina made sure to send a second probe down to the low ground, not just for the Nexus, but rather a few seconds before, so that she could check for any stinky bunkers. Which would definitely be a fear, or of course an engineer bay block. So yeah, really nice. Not that usually proxy rocks and engineer bay block, but the point is, definitely the bunker would have been annoying. As it is, you know, just the Reaper somewhere on the map, that is something that Nina can handle. MaSa does now add on a bunker, and Nina did not get a Zealot, which would easy peasy clean this up. She's gone right into the Stalker, which means the bunker might finish. But then I love how she placed the pylon so that she can still place a shield battery on the low ground, but very far away from any bunker trying to hit the Nexus.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the combination of things you need. You want a battery. You can't have this battery as we go for the third probe kill here. Good job on the Reaper, and the Reaper is unfortunately stuck and dead. But not a bad start. But yes, if there is going to be a bunker on the low ground like this, you need the battery. You can't see where I'm pointing, but like kind of in the corner, so the bunker can't target the battery down. And the battery can heal any units that are hitting the bunker, so it is important. The pylon obviously provides that possibility. So yeah, really cool little setup. Just ensure that you have all the options you want available to you. Concussive shells and marauders on the next step of this, and we've already got one marauder in a bunker here. No concussive shells yet. That is still on the way as our Stalker takes some damage, and there is the cancel of that battery. Now going to put that on the high ground, which also works just the same, just a little bit less reach, but will have the same effect.
Unfortunately, Nina is now going to have some trouble, right? I think she assumed that there might have been a Marine in there or another Reaper.
Yeah.
So the Stalkers didn't really get to trying to kill it as fast as they could have. Not that they could have killed it, but it just... Suddenly the Marauder shows up, and then Nina's like, oh shoot, like I really wish I stopped this bunker. But now has to stop a bunker with Marauders in it, which obviously do well against the Stalkers, also added range, more so than a Marine that's in there. The SCV does at least get taken down, but two more were brought forward. Yeah. They need to be maybe better positioned. Oh, one Stalker goes down.
Yeah, because the battery's not next to a Nexus, so it started with half energy. So that was actually kind of a big deal as well. So the battery just drained super quickly, and I think Nina didn't even really expect it, because she was running back like, oh yeah, gonna go get healed up. But it just had so little energy, it got drained so quick, and yeah, now you're gonna have two Hellions and Marauder showing up as well, and well, this battery needs to do some serious work right now, as the two Marauders are just putting in some serious work as well. And that Nexus is getting low. If we lose the Nexus, this is gonna be really detrimental. Is that battery in range of overcharge? Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
Started with full energy, so yeah. So it's gonna help, but there's so much here, man. MaSa fully committed to a one-base build, something that he would do, but you just never know, right? A lot of the units starting to get low. Medivac also getting target fired. Bunker finally does burn down. Shield batteries once again out of juice. Nexus out of time, out of health, is gonna get taken down, which means that MaSa could theoretically play into a command center at this point, which it looks like he's saving up for. But I'd still be so scared for Nina. You know, she gets a chance to play this game out technically, but right, the Hellion drop could still come in. Even the Marauders in the Medivac could be a nuisance. Her robotics bay play is not necessarily the most flexible, is the word I'm going to use here. It just, you get to Disruptor for Disruptor drops. I don't know if it's really going to do a whole lot of damage. You get a Colossus, that's just really not that threatening this early on in the game because there's so little protecting it. So I don't know. That's I think it's gonna be disruptors. I think she's gonna do that, but we'll see if they do damage.
Nina was one of the OG disruptor droppers back then as well, right? So talking about different eras of StarCraft, she really hammered the disruptor drop back when Legacy started as well. We got ourselves the well, Prism Speed, the disruptor on the way. So yeah, I mean, I like that. I think the disruptor has a better chance of bringing you back in this game than a Colossus, because I think a Colossus has a very high chance of just dying and not doing enough, and like you say, just unprotected. Disruptor drop has potential, so yeah, I like it. It's maybe not the most consistent of plays, but you're kind of in need of something kind of major anyway, so you may as well go for the less consistent but high value, high potential value kind of reward here. As the Auditor, we'll just get one probe, and our Raven staying out of reach.
They just draw the Stalkers out of position, so the Hellions take the opportunity to jump on in. However, many of them were injured. MaSa playing with the medevac as if it was still full health. A bit of a waste on that opportunity. Especially while he didn't know this quite so, but Nina was about to be distracted, microing her own units. Yeah, I get the Disruptor is going to be the best unit to try and make a comeback. I think most people would agree with that. But when I said inflexible, I just mean like it's either it gets a shot or not, and then there's not a whole lot of necessarily map control that goes with it. A Warp Prism, yikes, that's a lot of damage.
You know, MaSa was kind of asking for, because he was like chasing, he's like, well, if you drop it down, if you drop something out of there, I've got so many Marauders it's going to die. Which would have been true, but because the Prism has speed, it got ahead of the Marauders, so they still had to chase a bit, and then you clump in the mineral line, and kaboom. Now Disruptor does actually get a pretty decent first shot, so not a bad start from Nina with the Disruptor play. You come back in right now, looking to see what you can find again. Just wants to drop the Disruptor as far away from those Marauders as possible. Oh god, man, I feel like we're always clumping up so close to having like a major SCV loss.
Yeah, I'm surprised that was 2. I thought for sure it was going to get the ones that clumped up. I was trying to say the Warp Prism is counterable, right? The Vikings could come out, and it's very much a worthwhile investment, because this isn't 2 going on 3 base setup, where the Warp Prism is just a nice tool to have. This is really all Nina has to try and make some form of a comeback. As MaSa takes his natural and Nina finally gets her Nexus up, the worker count remains almost at even, which we all know does not favor the Protoss. And then adding on such hefty technology into someone who is building a Raven as well as the typical Terran units, that could be, well, that could be no good, basically. The Raven could just take it out of the equation.
Yeah, the couple of Vikings are going to get a shots off, and they get the kill, Disruptor included. Oh, this is bad, considering we've got ourselves the Raven with energy, like you say, and a couple of tanks getting sieged up, and let's see what we do here. That pylon's going to go down, that depowers everything in the corner. Uh-oh. The Auto Turret helping out a little bit, as we do see the Disruptor shot didn't quite reach as well as I thought it was going to as well. And man, this is really brutal for Nina, as MaSa just sits in this corner and is going to have a good old time.
Yeah, that depowering of everything was so brutal. I thought Nina might have cleaned that up once the Raven used its auto turret instead of its interference matrix, but yeah, the Disruptor didn't really get maybe as much as it could have, and nothing about Nina's army is all that mobile without blink and charge. So it was just that little bit too much. As odd of an attack as it was still good enough to catch Nina when she was weak. I just heard a Disruptor go off. Yep, a couple of Marines'
6
bodies
kills.
left over.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, nice. Nicely done. But still not taking care of the tanks, which are going to destroy the Robo and Robotics Bay.
Yeah, I guess a couple of tanks are low, so that's nice maybe for the future. There's only one Disruptor, though. I mean, that's the only thing we've got splash damage-wise, so it ain't exactly pretty still, as these few Marines are going very adventurous. Going to get rid of a few more probes. The Disruptor shot on the low ground is in range of a siege tank, by the way, so it gets killed as well. Stalker's dying, and this is getting worse and worse. If your name is Nina, unfortunately.
She's usually pretty good at the micro, but she's in such a tough position, not really able to play her game so much. Briefly, she's able to run around with that War Prism Disruptor and looked, got some pretty good shots, but as soon as the push actually came to shove, it was difficult times for the Protoss. MaSa does lose a tank on the retreat, but I do believe MaSa's retreating to a fair number of units. This isn't all that he has. Oh, and bringing 2 tanks back via the medevac too is going to safeguard the natural and the third base. Nina going for, I guess, 2 of the Hail Mary plays here. Dark Shrine and Storm on the way as well. I don't know if the Dark Shrine's going to do a whole lot, but the Raven was killed earlier, so there's a chance for it.
I mean, you need something to get you back in the game, right? We've already had Disruptors and we've lost the Robo, and so we're just going to try DTs now and into Storm. It's kind of, I mean, you could have rebuilt the Robo in the Robo Bay, but just going to turn away from that idea and switch it up completely. Yeah, DTs, I mean, there is a turret in the natural, not one in the main. Obviously, it kind of depends how many scans were saved, and looks like MaSa is keeping energy around, so DTs, in theory, are counterable. It still obviously is something that can hold you back, though, and maybe buy Nina some time if MaSa wants to try and get aggressive. And obviously, if you look at right now, MaSa really has a huge army supply lead, huge upgrade lead, and against an army that just isn't really that good. 11 Zealots, 4 Stalkers, and 3 High Templar. Yeah, Storm is nice, but if those Storms don't hit, you're going to have a really bad time. So Nina just needs anything that can maybe hold MaSa back, distract MaSa, and just give her a little bit of a fighting chance once again.
And Storm doesn't usually kill units. A Ball of Marines, sure, but even then they could be microed out, they could be healed up. Marauders, even less likely. You need Storms plus, you know, a couple of extra unit shots. So a good Stalker micro, enough Zealots to get the choppy chop going. And that combined together does a lot. But the tanks are here, the Marauder count's decent. Not a whole lot of medivacs, but the first Storm wasn't even particularly impressive. And it's not the entire army. The reason the medivacs are so low to the left is because 2 of them are over here, causing the end of the game. GG, MaSa, game 1 victory.
Solid game 1 victory as well, just looking good, and obviously opened up in a very fun, aggressive, MaSa kind of way, and put himself into a very good position. And from there, able to close that out and just say, hey, look, you know, I'm you know, still doing what I do best, being aggressive, being weird, hitting timings that you don't generally expect, you don't really prepare for a lot of the time. I mean, that's the first time I've seen a build like that in a long time. You know, it's just got that little uniqueness to it, and it worked beautifully here. Heading to Altitude for a second map, big map, could absolutely have a very different feel to it from the very beginning. I would be shocked to see any kind of one base opening here, but I guess we'll never say never in the Americas.
I'm feeling the Hellion drop.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. I'm going to call it $1.
$1 on the Hellion drop? Okay, I'll take it.
Thanks. All right, I'll owe you $1. We'll see if I owe you $1. But MaSa, this is why he was able to get victories back in the day, and it's why he's able to get victories nowadays. He was always a very intimidating player to go up against for those who weren't, well, honestly, Korean. You know, like, I wouldn't call Scarlet not solid, especially during some of her peak years, but even she would constantly get messed up by this guy. But for some reason, the Koreans almost never did. I don't know what's up with that. And I guess at one point, they were very much better than us, but this was even back when I felt like the skill gap was starting to shorten, you know? Yeah, decrease. But anyways, because he does play like this, and he has no pressure on himself either, which used to be a huge issue for him, as I said in the beginning of this best of 3, MaSa just knows how to win. Nina's the one who has to be very much in form and on point to get her victories, which she can be, but not taking that bunker down was a huge regret moment. Let's see what happens on Altitude. In the top right, we have Nina.
That, of course, means in the bottom left corner of our map, our red Terran player, this is MaSa.
Feeling it, man.
Yeah.
I think I nail it.
Okay.
It's just such a powerful build, and you know, sometimes, well, besides it being a powerful build, MaSa has no qualms with being kind of on the nose, you know? Like, MaSa can be the person who 2-raxes you 5 times in a row, and you're just like rolling your eyes.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, MaSa, come on. No one else should be doing this, but somehow it's working for you. Okay, cool. So even though a starport drop to try and kill Nina 2-0 lickety split might be a little bit obvious, and the positioning of the starport could be the most obvious position ever to the middle right, it might still work. And I guarantee he'd still consider doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the build. You know, big maps like this, it's good if you can just get ahead early, and the Hellion drop is something that can be very unaffected by the size of the map if you do proxy up the starport, so I can be convinced that could happen. It's a birthday, though, ZG. If I owe you $1, I don't regret it.
Oh, thanks, man. So, double gas, start things off. I wasn't really feeling the 1-base Hellion drop so much, but that's why I didn't specify which one. It is so far just the factory expands, but Nina is blocked out. So this is still kind of scary. Like, I don't know, against Innovation, just throwing a name out. Just against Innovation, you see a factory expand, and you're like, nah, I'm not like that terrified. Like you could do X or Y or Z or whatever, but nah, it's so fine. But oh my God, MaSa? I mean, what is this? He goes for a second barracks? Hello? He's gonna do a one base, ground based push on the biggest map in the map pool?
Yeah, I mean, it's MaSa, right? That's the kind of style. 2-1-1 to some extent. Let's see what exactly he goes for, right? I mean, with a second rack, I almost have to imagine we get potentially like combat shield. Oh, a widow? Okay, I don't know, ZG. A widow mine? That was not on my list of things that was about to happen.
I have no idea, dude. I think he's going to do a Widow Mine drop into a tank marine push.
With combat shields?
Yes, it's got to be combat shields on Sim.
That's what I was thinking. The Widow Mine just threw me off. But I mean, I guess he Widow Mine drop first, or just one Widow Mine for safety, and to maybe deal with units at the front as well or something. I mean, sure. Why not?
Keep up appearances as well, because a follow-up Widow Mine drop's pretty common on a factory expand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, actually. You know, show a Widow Mine, and then also you can keep units pushed down. The Reaper is going for the probe. He's going to get it before the probe spots a Widow Mine. Robo back at home from Nina. Observer first because, well, find out what the heck's going on. Not a bad idea. Now we go Medevac, Tank, Marines, and he had the Tech Lab selected for a second. Now he's got the minerals. Do we start Combat Shield? Yes, we do.
This is so insane to do this on this map, dude.
Yeah.
This is so crazy. But MaSa does it, man. He likes the style of play. Now, Nina, what is she getting besides the Observer? So the Observer will eventually see this, and that's all well and good, but honestly, I kind of wish she had gotten an Adept to just basically say, oh, you still don't have a Command Center, you still don't have a Command Center. Just basically be as cautious as early on as possible. You know, this 5-second difference of the Adept being like, oh, hello, versus the Observer could be a big deal. Fortunately, the Observer does go along the right path. Would have sucked if I completely avoided this. And Nina could maybe, you know, start up an Immortal. Because the Robo is a fine defensive structure, and in fact, fantastic if the Terran is actually one base all-inning.
This tank Widow Mine drop, man, just going to move around the side. You know, Marines have kind of held back. Now the Stalkers are here. The Widow Mine drops off. The Medevac being targeted, and it is going to get a probe at the very least. Make it 2. And then the Medevac is going to leave, load and siege up the tank, and of course, away we go. I do like that Nina obviously immediately put a pylon to help power up the Robo, because it was very obvious that this pylon was potentially in a lot of danger when you saw that initial push coming over.
Yeah. Building a shield battery back there as well. I like that. You know, what I don't necessarily like is, again, the Disruptors, but I'm not going to really rag on it. I just wonder if that's going to be... You know, is it going to get the shot or isn't it? It's, you know, the one-hit unit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
I don't know.
It's just very hit or miss, and I feel like you're playing against something where every hit is obviously great, but every miss is just very, you know, frustrating. And actually right now, like, how does this Disruptor even get into play? And as a Liberator and an extra tank show up, it's even more difficult. We do have a little bit of a duel in the middle of the map. Nina trying to cut off reinforcements, so that's a correct and good play to be making as well. We'll see if it will be enough as, oh, this siege tank didn't get the memo that they were holding out for a while. So we lose out on one tank. That is a big deal. We have killed the Robo, so it's 2 Disruptors, and that is it. The Liberator now here. Obviously, MaSa just wants to get everything else across the map. That's the one issue we have at the moment, that we just can't join everything together.
Nina had a lot of mining time denied in the natural because her Stalkers were buying this time, so it was definitely not just a victory on the cutting off of the reinforcements, although getting that tank was really nice. Now back to mining on 2 bases, but yeah, the tech path has been completely reset, so now she only has 2 units that are, you know, they either hit or they don't. Doesn't feel particularly stable. Has nothing else going for her, like, for instance, Charge, which sometimes does well against tank pushes, if you get enough Zealots, that is. Or Stalkers with Blink that could help against the Liberator and go for the map control. She is just a basic gateway army with Disruptors, as MaSa continues adding on siege units. And that makes me really concerned, especially if the Liberator count gets up to, say, 3. That would be exceptionally dangerous.
Yeah, we're going to lose one Liberator here, and I don't really love it from MaSa. We killed a battery in the main base, but he gave up a Liberator, and like you said, I think the more siege units we have, the more powerful the position of MaSa can become. And right now, I feel like we're actually maybe missing a little bit of siege power, as a couple of tanks really need to do some work here. The Disruptors are going to reach one of them. This Liberator reinforcing right over the Stalkers. We're just going to fight this out. I mean, the Liberator gets siege, but it doesn't last very long. Marines chasing down the Zealots at the same time. A new tank showing up. Marines in the main aren't doing much exciting, just killing off a pylon. I do not see MaSa doing enough with this. And this is unfortunately going to be Nina. Well, not unfortunately, but unfortunately for MaSa. Good for us, because we're likely to see a Game 3 again at this rate.
I think so. I think that Liberator loss on the main base was really impactful, because if it was sieged up from the get-go to help that recent engagement, Nina loses a lot more. Loses maybe all of her Stalkers, and perhaps a Liberator focus on the Disruptor could have caused one of those to go down. But Nina has just played the steady game. Build up a decent size of units, even if the units themselves aren't maybe the best, and then conquer someone who is rattling across a very long map. MaSa, unbelievably, is going to try and get into stim. I'm not sure how likely that is to happen, but yeah. I guess he got the cash.
I think what MaSa needed to do was hit the natural harder. Like, hitting the main base for a while, I thought we're going to have the fight here. Zealot, Stalkers coming through. I mean, this shouldn't be much of a fight, really. MaSa loses the tank. The bunker isn't even filled up. The medevac goes down, and yeah, there's just too much Protoss here. This is not really a contest any longer. The one siege tank on the back is really not going to make the difference either. And Nina is going to clean up enough to be okay. The tank goes down. In fact, she cleans up absolutely everything, and that should more or less be game. What I was going to say is I think MaSa really hung around pushing in towards the main and dropping into the main for way too long. And if you'd start to pressure towards the natural more, then the Liberators are so good, because then you can actually get 2 Libs sieged up on the natural ramp with tank support. That becomes almost unbreakable. Like, that becomes really scary. Instead, he was like, oh, I want to hit the main base. So he had like 6 Marines and a Liberator when nothing else was really reaching it. And, that's just not scary at all. That doesn't really threaten the Protoss player. In fact, Nina just walked straight up the ramp into it. That's how unthreatening it was, right? So just really felt as though that was just a missed opportunity, a missed play, honestly, I think, from MaSa, because he had the combination of units to be terrifying.
I agree. I absolutely agree. He did have initially the combination of units that is terrifying to a budding Protoss player. They don't get units very quickly. But Nina really had all that time to build up, again, basic gateway units. So some of those breaks were just laughably slow, but they were there. And on top of that, MaSa had the Liberator harassing the natural, which I pointed out is a lot of lost mining time, also scouting. So he would have seen that there was nothing there to stop him from encroaching in the natural with his tanks, Marines, and even the bunkers. Because I'm pretty sure there wasn't. Most of the army was the Stalkers guarding the reinforcements, and then the Disruptors, which are definitely something he could micro against. So I think you're right. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely is our charge. About to finish up from Nina. I mean, this really isn't a game worth analyzing any further. It's 1:30 to supply.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so never mind that, How's your day, ZG? How are we doing? What are you doing after this?
What is MaSa doing? What
am
I doing after this?
You not got any birthday plans?
No, because I was gonna be working for so much. I did see. I actually went up onto like the meetups or whatever, meetup.com, and I was looking at stuff to do in general, but I saw there was some Cinco de Mayo stuff, and was like, well, I could go and make some friends by drinking on Cinco de Mayo, but then tomorrow I'm doing a birthday stream where I'm also going to be drinking. And how much of a degenerate do I really want to be? Not that much. Yeah. And then my family's away currently, so I'm not doing anything with them. So I might just go ahead and buy myself a birthday cake and then eat by myself surrounded by cats while I watch Golden Girls.
Well, I mean, that sounds like the life, really.
Thank you. I think that sounds brilliant, not sad. Like some people are going to say it's sad. I'm on to you guys. You wish you were in my life.
The people that say it's sad are the people that just don't have true enjoyment in their life. That's all it is.
That's true. That's true, actually. Hurt people hurt people. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's a phrase. That is a phrase.
Have you watched Bullet Train?
No.
It's a very enjoyable movie, but it's about like a mercenary for hire doing a pickup job or a pick and grab or whatever. I forget what it's called, but anyways, he's been going to his therapist, so he's trying to be like a better person. So he's constantly talking to these other assassins, and he'll say things like hurt people," as like the assassin dies from her own poison.
It's good.
It's good.
I like him. MaSa is about to die, I want to say. For some reason, I'm weirdly afraid of these 5 tanks for Nina, but I'm pretty sure they shouldn't really be able to do that much. Not a fan of warping Stalkers in range of the Liberator, but you know, you're so far ahead. You do as you wish for a while. It's gonna be a while until we can really complain about anything Nina does.
Can we not let MaSa back into this game? I don't know what that would do for Nina's mentality for the entire season.
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, it might not be a very long season to be 0-2 and going into day 3 a bit on the downer, if I have to say so myself. There's no way, right? Like, like I said, I'm kind of strangely afraid of the tanks, but Nina is doing the right thing, which is just don't attack into them. Let MaSa be on 2 bases and just be on 4, maybe 5 bases yourself. Like, in theory, this should be absolutely fine for Nina. Just wait. It's frustrating, but yeah, I guess that's what MaSa's waiting for. He's like, hey, walk into all my tanks, die, and then maybe we'll see if we have a game still.
If Nina does that, which she really doesn't have to, she could easily see the setup and go, you know what, Tempests? What are you going to do against that? But I don't think she would lose if she did headbutt in, actually. So she could do it if she wanted, if you really wanted to do that.
I don't think she'd lose either. I just, like I said, I'm strangely afraid. Here we go. We're going to headbutt in. We're going to drop some Zealots on the tanks to do it a bit flashier and just have a little bit of extra oomph, and the tanks die very quickly. And it turns out you can, in fact, just headbutt your way into this space and just win. So that's good to know. And a 100 supply lead is, in fact, good enough to win PvT.
That someone in chat said I didn't know Fantasy changed his name to MaSa, and I thought that was pretty accurate. That was one hell of a Fantasy GG, man.
Oh my god, he even has the capital S like Fantasy. Oh my god, it's
Oh, he does! Oh my god.
That was a Fantasy.
Oh, is Fantasy's real name MaSa too? Oh, I gotta check this out.
There's no way.
That'd be so funny if it was. Ah, nope, not at all.
Not at all.
Damn.
All
Or
right.
not MaSa, Maru, sorry. Is his real name Maru?
Yeah. I know what you meant.
Thanks, man.
Long day, you know. We can be excused saying silly things sometimes. Dragon Scales, by the way, is going to be our final map. This, I don't know about you, back to actual, you know, good StarCraft questions, but I feel like it's weird because to me, Dragon Scales was like an absolute veto up until about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And now I see it in every TVP. And now I don't know if I just thought it was always vetoed or if it's actually been vetoed and people have just suddenly liked it. What do you think? PvT, Dragon Scales?
It's a very interesting question because I am actually... I was initially hoping it would be banned, is my memory. Because I would see it performed in PvT, and I'd just be pointing out all these, I feel, dangerous areas for Protoss.
Yep.
And then I'd still see it. So I was like, I guess I'm wrong. And, you know, Protoss have figured this out. So maybe I'm right, and you just took the whole disasters that are PvT in this map as a sign that, you know, the vetoes happened. Like, your mind just, like, changed your perspective because it was just so absurd. Yeah. Or you're right, and the amount of games that I've seen being disasters for Protoss just aren't as many as I think. It's a confirmation bias or whatever.
It's weird, though, because, like, I agree. Like, I just don't think it's meant to be a good map for Protoss, but then... maybe other maps really do just suck that much. You know, maybe that is where we just stand right now, where the other maps really do just no good. I'm going to check what the vetoes were, actually. I've got the thing up. I can do this. Hang on. I'm getting there.
Okay. I believe in you.
So Nina vetoed Grezvan and Babylon. Babylon, sure. Why not? But Grezvan? Do we hate Grezvan that much in PvT?
I didn't think so.
Also, apparently MaSa banned altitude and they played altitude, so maybe this is just complete. I assume he banned
he didn't say
Ancient.
anything, so...
Yeah, I assume he banned
that must have been it. Yeah.
Okay, all good. Players are readying up. We're going to get into our final map of the day, ZG. We've made it through. This is my last show of the week as well, so we've made it through week 1. Couple weeks to go. Hey, StarCraft.
Yeah, I won't be back here until next week, like a week and a half from now.
A week and a half from now, yeah. You're not here on week 2. We got other
It's so weird not being involved in almost every single day of the regional cast with cats, you know?
You know what it is? My favorite was Roddy, Roddy got a couple of extra days added in, but like originally Roddy was going to do day 1 and day 2, and then day 17 and 18, right? Which is like the first 2 and the last 2 days. I'm like, man, that would actually, like, if that was the only days he did, that would be the craziest schedule, right? Because That is like you do the first 2 days and then you literally just do not get involved with the tournament. Obviously, we all watch the tournament and stuff and we keep up to date with scores and stuff, but like you just don't get involved at all for the next 2.5 weeks, and then you come back, it's like, oh, playoff time. You know, top 4 of each region. Let's go. It's kind of crazy.
Yes. So he had more days added on?
Somebody turned a couple days down, and I think Roddy got them. Something like that.
Oh,
That's all.
Roddy deserves them. I'm glad he got them.
Yeah. We're all scrapping over
he gets
days
to
over here.
cast. Yeah, I'm so happy he gets to cast 9+ hour days, 5 times instead of 4.
Yeah, it's not like he got like a lot of extra days. It was just like someone didn't want to do like 1 weekend or something, so he took it. I don't know, something like that. Top left, Nina. Bottom right, MaSa. You guys know the players. You guys can see the positions. There's your intros.
Yeah.
There's a producer out there somewhere screaming right now. He didn't do the split.
Somewhere out in the universe, the WCS Challenger admin is screaming into someone's ear.
We gotta get these casters off
into
the
players.
stream.
Guys. Amazing. I was just gonna talk the chat for a hot second while we watch actually a normal TVP. Well, so far because MaSa is factory expanding. Oh, he's gonna Hellion. Is he gonna Hellion drop this time around? Damn, I called it too soon.
You can have your dollar back.
Thanks, man. I think he is, right? Because he's 1 gas factory expanding. You swap over to build Hellions.
Yeah, I would say so. Looks good.
Yeah. Okay, never mind, chat. I'm not gonna talk to you. You born.
Was there anything interesting in chat? Or was it just we really had nothing?
No, I
else
was gonna
on?
talk about. I was just talking to them, and I was about to go on about how, like, we were doing this exact same. We were doing less hours in the last production, but there was a whole production crew and a 3rd commentator.
Oh yeah,
Do you
3rd
guys realize
commentator
that?
and a host and like an observer and a production
Isn't
team.
that crazy?
Yeah.
Shout out to Wardy here and Behemoth, both are producers.
Yeah, promotion. Check me out.
Yeah, usually comes with something else besides just the more work thing. But
Factory lands onto the reactor.
Promotion.
Couple Hellions. And we have our starport on the other side of the map. Alright, ZG, we're even.
Yeah, I got my dollar back. It had to happen eventually. All right,
That's
a best
true.
of 3 with MaSa versus a Protoss player. Like, oh, good spot, Nina. Good spot.
Okay, doesn't count. Didn't drop.
Oh no! My dollar. Nina owes me $1 for this. I blame her.
Yeah. Nina, you ruined
You
it.
think?
He's
you
gonna
think he
drop
just-
anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, very possible.
I hope so.
Very possible. Couple Hellions gonna pop out and just gonna rally up together. We do see our blink. Corona boosting away on the Twilight Council, and our 4 Hellions will venture to the other side, and I assume wait pickup still, because Starport finishes. You have the gas for a medevac. I mean, you may as well. Even if it's going to be later, it can still be a really good threat, and you already have the Hellions that are going to do absolutely nothing anyway. And it might even work better if you just kind of, think now as Nina, you don't have defended, right? There's not going to be a drop, and then suddenly Hellions are in your main. So it could work against you. Hellions going to show themselves at the front, get away, and like I say, wait to be dropped.
Nah. I mean, Moss is kind of a crazy guy, but I can't see him moving across the map as well. Like, he's got to only do the Hellion drop and then stay safe back at home, especially on his last life in the series now. He's not quite sure if it's going to be a 4-gate or a 2-gate. So far, it is actually just 2 gateways. Nina is planning on expanding, but then she might be very, very cautious against the Hellions, which makes a lot of sense. So he's not sending a probe out to get a 3rd Nexus and actually going back into mining on all 4 gases.
Oh, the probe doesn't see it. Oh, no. 4 Hellions into the main mineral line, and Nina she has stalkers in every direction apart from where these Hellions came from. And those probes are running to the corner, but yeah, they gotta start splitting. Oh my goodness. 9, 10, 11 workers.
This build lose!
This build
It's such a good build!
It's sick. Damn.
It's so sick. This is actually just like proof that Protoss players really are just sad little puppies that have been, kicked one too many times. I don't even complain anymore. Okay, like Zerg players won like one tournament to a 2-3 racks meta, and they're like, it's literally broken. I've never seen this build lose. A whole meme was created from it. Protoss players literally never survive against a Hellion drop, and they're just like, yeah, but you know, it was probably my fault, so that's okay. I just want to hold the Protoss players. Look at my hug.
It's okay, guys. Everyone loses to Hellions. There's going to be a Dead Siege tank in order to... It was meant to be a Dead Siege tank. There we go. Costing maybe an extra Stalker than it would have done initially. The Observer goes down. That's Marines actually do chase for a Stalker, so it's actually kind of worthwhile to chase. The Stalkers control the right side, though, and that Stim Pack cancelled. I mean, it just about began, if you want to call that a cancel. Sure, it is a delay on Stim, but not as major of a one as it could have been. Right now, we're just going to crank out a few more Marines, try and get another tank in position, and Nina doing absolutely everything to pull this back a little bit, already back into a worker lead with 5 workers killed, and that was a good sequence of events if you're Nina.
Confused by her build order follow-up though, right? So she did have 2 gateways, and I presume that meant 2 base into 3rd base. Okay, very aggressive on top of that tank. One goes down, but another one had just popped out, and unsieged GPS from the tank, not too bad. So yeah, finally the Stalker... Yeah, Stalker Arsenal's finally done. So back to what Nina was doing. So Nina could have gone 2 base, 2 gateways into 3rd Nexus and played out into a macro game with Charge and Blink and eventually into Robo. Instead, she added on the gases and then was being cautious against the Hellion drop, which unfortunately did damage anyways. So now we have a 2 base Protoss going into Charge Disruptor? That's not really a thing, right?
I mean, Charge and Disruptors usually equals Zealots getting blown up by Disruptors. So exactly. I'm not really a huge fan of the combo, but it doesn't have to happen. Just micro well and aim your Disruptors properly and you'll be good. It definitely is just a weird combination, though. I mean, I guess we already have Blink.
Yeah.
It's just usually you go Blink and Charge and you just spam there and then swap later, or it's just everything at the same time. It's weird. That's the weird part.
It is, and it's like, okay, you don't have to let your Zealots die to the Disruptor, because that is you just mismicroing. It's the problem that they're like the opposite of the ideal scenario. Kind like if you send a Disruptor out, you have to pull your Zealots back. You know, like that just seems like it's already taking so much wind out of the sails of the Zealots, who are like mid-charge and then lose their charge ability, and are like, oh, okay, sorry, boss. It's a very weird composition. It's not nearly as, I think, pounceable either like Stalkers are. Zealots, I mean, they're pretty fast, but they don't get to do a whole lot of sniping. And of course, one of the biggest problems is that you really don't have a whole lot of anti-air. So yes, you do have Blink, but you don't have very many Stalkers. You start building nothing but charge lots. MaSa's drops are about to be a whole lot more annoying.
Yeah, that is very, very true, as we have the Auto Turret one side, this main mineral line pulled away as well. Massive income advantage over into MaSa's favor for a little while, so just helping him get back again in terms of the economy and starting to move out onto the map. Stim about to be done. We are missing combat shields for these Marines. They will have +1 though, and well, let's see what we can do with, I mean, just such a weird group of units for 8 minutes in the game. 3 Disruptors, a group of gateway units that have all their upgrades, but then a Terran force that has some of its upgrades and only 1 siege tank. I mean, talk about mix and match. It's almost like a pick and mix of TVP units.
It's a pick and mix. Some sour gummies there, some here. Yeah. It's just very odd. Well, this group of army left behind by MaSa is unfortunately quite dead, but the drop does commence, and Nina doesn't have a very mobile army. Recall is available and is, of course, used. But the Stalker number is not very big. Blink, I guess, on cooldown or something, and MaSa is going to get away with at least enough. Overall, not the best form of aggression, and then he actually tried to go back into the main base. Why would you do that?
Yeah, a little bit crazy, MaSa. Chill out a little bit, perhaps. Yeah, it was chose to kind of go after pylons initially as well, but actually, if he just stimmed for the main mineral line immediately, there would have been some serious probe losses. Instead, we kind of killed a pylon, and it's like, well, that was not the most damage that was on offer there, so a little bit of a shame. MaSa's still doing decently, though. It's likely to lift up these units and take them into the main, but not if they get blinked upon, and that is 1 and very nearly 2 dead medevacs, so yeah, that didn't really work too well either. We still have the Raven auto turret in it up, but there's a battery that's protecting from a lot of the damage it was dealing before, so... And now these medevacs again going to get in, and Lena's not paying attention, so doesn't get the blink on top to shut down the low HP medevac. And now this full Marine unload goes on, and we are going to get a lot of probes all at once.
This is a very odd game of StarCraft because I think they're both making mistakes that are almost, well, mistakes help your opponent always, but just even more so than usual, I feel like. MaSa was so late to combat shields and Marauders slow, right?
Yes.
Not that he had a lot of Marauders, so slow wasn't too bad, but combat shields is absolutely missing from many of these battles. And then MaSa also is playing almost too all over the place, not actually taking advantage of any of that lack of stalkers like I was talking about, because Nina ended up rebuilding them. So she didn't just go like all zealots all day. So MaSa is throwing units away almost haphazardly and not really getting the most impressive damage. Finally got the medevac drop to kill a bunch of probes, and well, this is pretty good. But it's a clumsy game of StarCraft.
This was kind of fun, right? This medevac of Marines just stims in as the Protoss moves over left a little bit. The Marines just like run around the back. We're like, we got you. There's still an empty medevac trying to escape through the top side. There's still a full medevac in the top left corner that is keeping a lot of Protoss supply in the main base as well, so it is finding some value at least. And we do also have the Warp Prism of Nina coming around the right, so we have had to hit into even more action. Behind all of this, MaSa starts to take a 4th command center, so that's going to be good ahead of Nina. And in theory, I think generally just MaSa's looking pretty comfortable. Up 20 workers. The biggest question mark is just making sure you end up with a good amount of army at the end. That's a dead Stalker, which is never good to a Widow Mine. And we have another Widow Mine still active that has to be dealt with as well. So it's a lot of awkward little bits and pieces going on right now. As Nina should be able to blink Micro out of this mine shot at least. And still needs the Observer to play cleanup though.
Yeah, this Raven's really determined to get damaged on, man.
Yeah, it has been non-stop. This battery is drained of energy purely from Raven auto turrets. Raven getting its 6th kill of the game. Setting up is the Nina Warp Prism setting up as well. MaSa is... Why? Like, I just don't understand why this army's on the map. Beautiful split. But I just don't understand why this army's on the map with one basically dead medevac, you know? It just feels so unnecessary.
No! Oh my god, he picks it up from the medevac. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at as well. It just feels like it's a little too all over the place, and it's not beneficial. There's amazing domino effect all over the place where we just watch the Protoss get ripped apart. And then there's, well, closer to how, you know, me or you would play it. It's just like, I'm not necessarily controlling these things, but I feel like I'm doing something impressive. And, well, not necessarily, but of course not losing as much as is necessary for Nina to feel like she's actually making a comeback. MaSa's still dominating in that supply.
Yeah, I think the last few moments especially, kill off this 4th base, that wasn't a cancel, you just killed a Disruptor 2. It's starting to do a little bit more. I was absolutely with you, it was just unnecessarily over the top. It's definitely getting a little bit better from MaSa as we run in over here. This Disruptor might get a bit of a cleanup as the medevac actually killed more units by trying to lift them up than if it just left them, I think. Anyways, either way, we see MaSa showing up with even more units. 82 army supply east. The thing is, MaSa has so many workers. He's got the economy to absolutely just get away with this time and time again and to kind of take some of these worst trades that he has been taking. This group of Zealots running in on their own and doesn't even sell off the Widow Mines because the Bio just has plenty to work with there. The Prism gets around the corner and yeah, it's been a fun one. It is the last game of the day in America's ZG. It is meant to be a little bit wacky.
Certainly is a little bit, not nearly as baffling as last night. I keep saying laster day, you know, why do I keep doing that?
Oh.
Well, I guess like the first thing I think of is last, but obviously it's yesterday. Why is English like this? Because it wasn't night for me either, so I can't say last night. Anyways, drop on the right side was cleaned up. Nina, I mean, she's being given opportunities to take down chunks of the army, or perhaps one just big push from MaSa would have already done the trick. Now kind of doing that as I'm speaking, but with less numbers than before, and we'll have to be pushed back. Yeah, Nina's going to save this 4th base for now.
Yeah, this was one of those scenarios where it's like, well, those medevacs would have really been nice just in this bigger fight, right? But then I guess if those medevacs weren't, you know, in this bigger fight, Nina would have had everything here as well. Nina just has a lack of splash damage. 2 Disruptors and 1 Colossus left. That is one thing that MaSa has been resetting throughout this. I think that actually goes a pretty long distance to really helping him out and seeing some amount of success here, because otherwise I'd be kind of terrified about everything that's been kind of going on throughout this.
MaSa's economy looking pretty good. 5th base probably going to be sent over quite soon. Managed to dive into the natural force of recall. And then skedaddle. Also depowering the robo.
Or just run back into the Disruptor.
Kill it.
Oh my god.
That was a dangerous game to play indeed. And the Stalkers are going to look to punish, but not even getting a whole lot there.
You know, it's like a lot of the moves MaSa makes is really good, and then he just goes like one step too far, right? Like, if he just settled for some of the damage he dealt, like, you know, getting here, forcing the recall, that's powerful because now you lose a recall ability for the next minute and a half, however long the recall is, right? that's a really powerful state to be in. And then he like nearly gives it all away by kind of just running back in when the army's already there. Like, he makes a really cool move and then follows it with almost a very dumb decision. In this case, it wasn't so bad. It wasn't too heavily punished. He still wants to push this natural. I mean, this allows Nina to collapse in from the left side. We do Matrix a Disruptor there. The Colossus is taking a beat and is finally going to go down. So does one of the Disruptors. We lift up to escape once again. A couple of Widow Mines that just never burrowed up are going to be donated to the Protoss cores over here. As that Disruptor flies into between the rich. No, just the normal Vespene geysers. And does that Archon die? We've been watching that drop. It does indeed drop as his medevacs are taking hits and MaSa just rallying up the map. I don't feel like these units actually want to stim on this army, but MaSa says he does.
Cody backs. It's fine. MaSa is certainly playing like well, someone who thought they may be even more ahead than they were. And someone who has a lot of practice, right? Like, I think that's fair enough to say, as definitely not a full-time StarCraft 2 professional. So that's definitely what it feels like. I think if we saw MaSa actually putting in the hours, maybe back in 2016 or whenever he got really high up in DreamHack Austin, I think this game is 100% already over. And it was really clean after the Hellion drop. It was very superbly done, easy cleanup, big army fight, however you want to do it. But instead, it's a little... You know, everyone's a little rusty coming back into the season, and maybe again thinking that you're a little bit farther ahead. So it's not looking nearly as easy, definitely not simple and clean as maybe it could. So MaSa still has the control of the game, but really cannot actually kill Nina. And things have finally calmed down. Okay.
I was gonna say he's almost playing terrified of a Protoss that gets like left alone for like 10 seconds. He's like, if I leave them for like 10 seconds, suddenly there's gonna be like Storm, 7 Colossi, 18 Disruptors, and like I just never win. He's like, I've got to go. You know, no matter what's going on, I've just got to make something more happen. Yeah, obviously he just killed the Robo. He just needs one big push. Like, I mean, he's got some great micro against these Disruptors too. The splits have been fantastic multiple times over. He just needs to consolidate an army. Like, he's got the lead. Just go fight. Even if you trade evenly, it's so good for you because you've had the eco lead for a long time. At this point, your eco lead is, you know, kind of dipped off a little bit simply because Nina's had so long to catch up because you haven't made a killing blow. Now we take this fight, which is a little bit wild as well. A lot of medevacs here that don't really have that much left to heal. Widow Mines are still showing up into kind of a Stalker army, which isn't great. Here's some extra bio also to show up. I mean, now we're going to get a double kill. It was almost a triple kill on Mines, and just chaos. Absolute freaking chaos.
I'm going to guess, I didn't actually check, but I'm going to guess that MaSa had misrallied his units at some point. You know, how that happens, and they all stack up next to their barracks. Because he had a fair army supply every time I looked at that engagement, yet a disturbingly low number of units. So I was just like, where's the army? Where's the army? Where's the army? Finally, it all gets collected together.
I guess in a way as well, it was like, there's a lot of medevacs, there's also a lot of mines, right? So that plus just the fact that it's just a lot of support units and not actually a lot of main bulk. And
yeah.
This game is getting dangerously close, no? Like, it feels like Nina's really stabilizing, the army's getting better, and MaSa's army's just more of this. I mean, he's getting some libs out, that should help, and he is building some ghosts. He is improving it, he's taking the necessary steps to really improve. He just lost one of the libs. Again, just maybe trying to do too much. I think just, 3 libs all setting up at the same time in the same army would be really good. Now we're just going to go past each other and, okay, no, MaSa's going to turn around. Is he actually going to commit to turning around? Because I don't trust anything he does.
Yeah, right? All right, so it looks like he was going to pounce on the army, but then decides to go after the Nexus, which Nina assumed that he was already doing, so she recalled, which actually ends up being the perfect recall, and now maybe Nina can get the sandwich, even though MaSa was setting up for the sandwich, and now Nina's army is going to get caught off guard because the sandwich isn't being set up, and it is Nina's army that's just too low to actually take on what MaSa's got. Somehow, some way, we entered into the zone of perfection for MaSa as he takes the fight on the high ground. Widow Mines and Liberators hold up the rest of the army, and of course, all close to MaSa's home base. The reinforcements come in as quick as possible, and finally, it was a hell of a road to get here, but finally MaSa is undoubtedly going to win this game. Right?
Motto of this story is you don't make a sandwich out of a sandwich. I think that's what we've just learned based on that commentary. Is MaSa splits and he dives on this army. Another Disruptor gets targeted down before it can do anything. This one's going to hit big just to give us some extra drama in these dying moments, as again absolute chaos just ensuing. throughout the course of these dying moments, I do think MaSa should just kill Nina off, but that would be almost a little bit too simple. This top right base found by Izelt, so we're just going to evacuate that, by the way. We didn't really mention that because the game was wild enough to just accept that that was happening, so sure. And, yeah, I mean, MaSa's still just trying to dive on units and, you know, good old 21-minute NA game to wrap things up tonight, going wild.
Mm-hmm. I understand that MaSa for a very long time was trying to play the mass bio momentum-based style. I totally understand that. But I do think there are some earlier moments where not only could he have combined all of his bio together, like we've been ranting about, I also feel like he could have added on some Liberators with a combined bio. I think there's multiple times where adding just 2 or 3 Liberators with a bio attack on the 4th, particularly, would have been really difficult for Nina to clean up. And I'm going to bring it back again and say if he does that, there's no way Nina can hold. Just a couple of Liberators would make sure these Disruptors do not somehow bring the game back, but doesn't need it. Finally, 21 minutes in, MaSa will get the victory that he had set